Like bright waves, fall from life, like the motion of lifeless margin of the sparkling ocean. And wild rose climbing from the moldering wall for the gushing of sunbeams through a ruined hall. The strains of glad music are like a funeral for the sad melancholiness and wild start. To this to be the deep, the sovereign heart, the anxious and painfully, cheerfully and doubtfully enough wait for the intolerable change. The thoughts that be a contrast of strange, unforgotten voice for the accents to come, like in the wandering for the world's extremities in the ancient home, in vain. Beat upon my ear again for those the melancholy tones of sweet still leaves aloof for the tones and this to be bygone for the year for this such a thrilling and something to the will forget to not shake it. Baby toast, heart hits every blood spill. I will break you off. This is where the scholars like a gypsy go far, call you a shepherd from the hill. Shepherd and untie those wailing for the coyotes and long for this the bristle flock and unfair for this to be balling for the fellows who rack their throats. This is the crop for the herbs for shooting another head for this the understanding of the fields are still for the men of the dogs are still gone to rest and this is the white sheep that sometimes seen cross and recross the strips of the moon branches for the shepherd for the pen to see the quest here for the reaper not for the work of the link this for the fields for the dark corners for where he leaves the coat the basket for the earth and the tools this is all for the sun for the morning and lions and sheaves this is here for the moon coming back to the stores for use realizing what is fine here for the others and far away from the beating of the wet flocks to be born distant cries of the reapers in the corn maybe for the live for the learn for the murmur for the summer day for the only understanding for the half and half reap for the field still done for the fine ass shepherd and I will be for the thing for the dawn for the scutter for the poppies in the peak in your earth will come around this and breathing your own not be left the sweat those of you to find the scent this is the rustling down the perfume showers for this is the gloom this is the big grass where I'm bound laid for the bottle for the August and the same with the shade for this the eye that find the travels and down to the towers and near me for the grass and line that book when they're coming for the understanding of internal knowledge and the poor for the pregnant parts of this is in the grave who's tired of knocking for the reference of the door summer for the warm for the forsaken winter learn for the gypsy of alluring for the distant most men to find little good this is the unfamiliar branch no more for once we come for the after for the country lanes and two scholars find yourself for the way you do you make nothing inquiring into whether you can answer or not for the gypsy of the group for the mating for what you can prove and what's desire working man's brain working for the can bind and for the thoughts that they will the secret of the art who can find yourself in the world apart from what the needs are and have the set moments for the skill stuff down just return no more rumors hung around the side the scholar being able to scrape and seen by the red lips with pencil with tongue tied in the hat for the antique shit the cloak for the grave this is the same gypsies in the big war had them meet for the herds and the scream this is the known houses and wars this is the understanding for the bench for the bench for the spot and the flock those lords for the founders do the seating for the entering for the with the mere drink drunk clouded with the fly I must see for the half and not the looks for the foot for the shepherds for the wandering along without the trace of the action the boy for the known for the weak feels and the scared the brooks and this is the one for the boat but I lie who's false to see you see what I mean for the muffling and what you can find and wondering and what we can find to shine retreats for most I retire ground home go back take me stream fingers wet rope chops leaning backwards pensive penis fostering lane heat flowers pluck feels distant dying eyes resting food dead stream from distance comes dance around cross still public display store made flowers drenched orchids and spot leaves and half the words quartz June inside the sunshine flames and black wave for the swallow for the glittering what was the fun the bathing of the vanity pass over what's near for the sitting upon the rich banks and ever going for the hills not the money that become the fortune they hide the soft abstract of the air but you can find the mating without when you're gone with the homestead the understanding of the hills and hanging upon the gate this is where the children range slow to slave this is the real the hill the knowing for the eye not the springing past for the beating for what you can find the spark the smile not the shine the golden the day for the moon the slow away for this with the skirt the turn the edge away from the smoke for the tents and ever the push you above for the forests of ground for the district it could be the blackbird for thee not stock for the meal for the fearing for all the twirling in the hand for the winter for the spray for the winter for the despite the spark all the heavens to fill for this the winter for the causing you to chill for the half a pass for this to be the wooden bridge on the close the valley with the snow for this is the basic of what you were told this is the only climb for the hill for the will for I can never be a stick of the snowflakes on the fall for the stalk for the straw for the secrets maybe I dreamt maybe it was years flown around for the wandering of the mind for these studio walls and this is refined word the earth
That wanderer, that man from the birth, and he was born a ship on the breast of a river, a time for the brimming of wonder and joy, spreading for the arms to the light for the river, gazed upon the banks of the stream, and where he sees when he has thought been for the weather he wakes, where the snowy mountains and passing the echoing of streams, the eagles hymn to the gorgeous of the bed, the newborn for the clear, flowing a stream for whether it first sees the light for the river, the gleaming rings, sluggishly winds through the plain, the weather and sound, for this is swallowing, sea for the world for the banks, and so is the mind of a man, and vainly for the distant he glides, fabled for the dream from the lands and river of time, for this is to find yourself when waking up on the breast, shall reach again for the eyes been closed, only the tract where he sails, the worst of them, the thoughts, the worst, the raised the bone, and the objects of perhaps past his winds to see the green for any more, from when you can find that source of time for the magic that feels delay. This is the sunshine warm for the plowing of the things, and there's a thought, but there's a try for who to roam for the breast. This the vigorous and the primitive sun. What's to grow? What's in reeds inside of the bottom and clear? You can read with who sat by the even, palms shaded well for the guards inside that breast in the deep and find the polluted spring. For this the feeling of tranquility, as sure as what you can find of bombarding for the height for the vision that seemed deemed of God. This the world for the soul for what you can be plain, as near for the flashing of what you can felt. This is the lane for the night by for the flock of the starlit for the waste. Can you rise and obey for the beck of the spirit like him? This is the tracking for the river, the time for now flow with this the plain, gone, calm, easier shore for bordered cities, hoarse thousands cry and stream for wild's breast, minds confused, cries we hear, changing the shot for the sights in which we see. Now see for the reposing of the what's fled, ever course for the river of time for the cities and crowded by this edge for the black and the sand over the center of the line for the dam will now be more banks, denser than a trade on the stream for the flatter the plain where it flows, fiercer sun overhead for that would never lose his breath again for the scene for the blowing and the light for the drinking and the feeling and the quiet again, silence and devils before we know not, this is to know what we shall succeed, happily for the river the time for the growing of towns and this merging, fleeing with the wavering and lights in the wide, stay there for the state of calmness and with the early mountain shore, yet a solemn in place for this own, for this is the width of the waters and the hush of the gray expanse and where he floats, freshening, it's the current spot with the foam in its dreams into an ocean and stripe, peace, soul, man of his breast, and this is the pale waste widens around him, and with the banks of the fading, the dimmer away for the stars to come out, night wind brings up the stream, murmurs the sense of the infinite sea. You see what I mean? You know what I mean? Who's to know for the future? Who's the last word for the speak? Who's the understanding for the creeping into the narrow bed for the let the no more be said for the vain for one set all stands fast down for the now for another for the thyself for the before the breaking at last, and this is the let the contention the cease and the grease and the swans and the geese and letting them know they will they're without tired of being still for this is the talking and hissing and what before thee. This is the better man for the fair for this is the feed of the fire for the breaking out of the shots that's passed hostly charge that sink at last for the charge one more for the be the dumb let the victors and they come when the force from the folly can fail for this to find the body of the wall. You could be that pagan world with the voice. You could be the cold from the hall for the haggling in the eyes and the Roman for the nobling of the lay. For this is America drove abroad for this the fears to the guys that along that way for the making of a feast and find the fierce and fast and crowned away for the hair for the flowers and not easier to quicker lead past and practicable. This is the brooding for the east and the west to be held with the imperious of the younger world. This is the tempest of the swelling of what is held for not hurled for the east and not be born for the blast and the patience deep disdainment for the distant legions and the reg thunder past and the plunging into the thought again. Well should you muse it with the morning breaking of the spirit of the grave, conquering the newborn for the joy awake. This is the feeling for the light for the day for the poor road you can cry deep and accusing. This is the run for the pole to pole for seeking what you can slay. This is the thirst of seeking inside the soul for the hearing of what it was victorious. This is the void for which you can mind that breast within the shivering of what was obeyed. This is the veiling for the eagles to snap that sword. This is the land for the sculpture sculpted steadily in purple for the unherring and the imperial crown. He was royal for the breaking of the flutes and stopped the sports, and this is the artist that could not please toward the books and shut the courts. This is the fled for the palaces and lusts of the eye, pride of life, and yet it's all behind the experience of the hurry for the torn, the life and emerald strife for the wilderness to find the tears, wash away for the trouble with the face and you changed like a child, mid-weeds and wrecks and the stood of peace, and this is the ruin of what you like to smile. It was romantic in a sense. Maybe she can hear that voice. It would be as kind as a glance, and the queen like a clear. That bright moon lands for the tranquil spear, for this is the sleepless water, for the lonely, for the be mere, wild, whirling, waves, mournfully, mournfully shivered and died for the tears of the sorrow. Mothers half shed for the prayers of tomorrow should be in vain but not be sped, but the flower for the flowing of the lies of frozen be dead. Throbbing brow, penis, fall for the burning breast. And that enlightened when it's like the moon reflected of the water for the moon is not. That enlightened when it's like the moon reflected of the water, for the moon does not get wet nor is water broken, for the although its light is wide and great, moon is reflected even in the puddle with an inch wide, the whole moon for the entire sky to reflect into the dewdrops of the grass. This won't even stop. This is the moment for this, it won't stop, for the valleys of brook to no fear, that my shadow for the flow into the world, joyful into the mountain and retreat. This is the mountain retreat for the still, for the feeling of melancholy, for the stunning of a lotus, and so true every day for the practicing of sin. This is the single-mindedly what I do, for the love and the hate, for the manner from where I am here alone, listening to the sound of rain for this late autumn, maybe spring season. This is drifting epiphany for the whirlwind, for the birth and death. This is wandering in a dream for the midst of the illusion. Waking to the true path, and there's one more matter I cannot neglect, for the need to not bother now. As I listen to the sound for the evening rain, for the falling upon the roof of the temple of retreat, for the deep, for the grass. And this is the Zen, this is the mountain, this is the eternal peace. This is the whirlwind of the road, the birth, the death, and this is the final, the drifting, the pit, and this is the birth, for the death, the wandering, the the dream, the midst of the illusion of the waking, the true path. For this is the matter, for the not to neglect. This is the understanding that I won't even stop and give up, for the fear, for the shadows into the world. This is the viewing for the peach, and this is the spring wind. Peach, bring to come apart, for the doubts and not grow, for the branches and leaves. You will even show yourself with the gratitude for the understanding and the lessons in modern. Find yourself to be romantic. Remove all guilt, for your prosperity is yet to come. You are more than a dream, more than a wish, more than an ode to not ask that bed, for the death, for the bands of the greedy, for the hear me free. These beseech to the last breath, for the fortune and the favors of the sun, not me, for the asking the kind soul to keep, for the tearless of my death to hear. This is the who will, for the anybody who weeps, and this is the plague. Earth, man, tears, rule, ask the death, for the finding of the freedom, for the life to deny. This is the folly of a mankind, for the last, the quick, the sigh, for the despair, for the whispering, cry that room, for the friends who come to gate. This is the go for the ceremonies and the air gloom, for which makes the death hideous of a show. Not to bring deceit, me to cease to live, for some doctor full of phrase and frame, shake that space and save me for the giving and all that heal. He cannot cure the name, not fetching for the taking of the custom. What's the toll? Who the poor, the sinner, for the bound, for the depth of the partner, doctor, soul, canvas, for the official breath, for the future, for the this, the viewing a thing, undiscovered mystery, which you can feel the death of the wind wings. This is the wind, must need for the rear, for the clear, for this is the sure he is. Break now, none, for these would let me be wild, for the worm, for the silence of the lights, and moving into the window with near and see. Once before, for my dying eyes, and me food, bathe is sacred, the dew for the morning. This is the wide, for the aerial landscape to spread, world which with the I find the era for which I was born, for the world will not last when I'm dead, which never with a friend when I'm on one. You are promising loving for the giving and not to give, for the list for the all generous sons. This is the living for the itself for what made us live. This is the let me gaze until I become soul with what I gaze upon. This is the feeling of the universe in my whole, for I have my mind. All the sick for the root, for the mortal, for the strife, for the turmoil, for the little breath and the pure eternal course of life, with the human combinations, with the death and the feeling in the gaze, and let me grow, compose, refresh, and enable and clear to find that then within the spirit to let me go, for the waiting for elsewhere or somewhere but here. This is the place where I want to go back home. This is the growing of ode. This is where the growing of ode, for the loose, to the glory, to the form, for the lustring of the eye, for this is the beauty, for the forego, the wrath. This is the for that alone, for the feeling of the strength, and not the bloom, for only our strength to decay. This is the feeling for each limb, grow stiffer, each function less exact, for the nerve, more weakly strong. Yes, this is born with you or not. This is the new youth dreaming, would be not to have what I life, for the mellow, for the soft, and the sunset glow. Golden days decline. This is not to see the world, for the far, for the height, for this is the rap. Prophetic eyes in the heart profoundly stir. We feel the fullness of the past. This is the years that are no more. It's been for the long days, and this is once we feel that we are ever young, for the added immuring, for the hot prison, for the present, for the month to the weary pain. It is added to the suffering, for the this is the half freebie, for what we feel, for the deep inside of a hidden heart, for this is the fast of remembrance. This is the change for knowing emotion and none. This is the stage for all, for we are frozen up within. Quite for the phantom of ourselves, and hear the world for the applaud, for this is the Holy Ghost in which we blame on living men.
I told you, I behold you, noble, glorious, and whole human, whole woman, the pupil of purity of the sacred matrix, which God takes the pleasure from the essence of heaven flooded into you. Great word of God dressed itself in flesh and appeared to be shining white. Lily as God looked upon you before all creation and lovely, intended one for how greatly God delighted in you. He's placed a passionate embrace within you, for the sun might nurse at your breast. Your womb held joy with all celestial symphony sounding through you. The virgin who bore the Son of God, the parody for the becoming and luminous of God, for the flesh, and held joy for the grass, and upon the dew falls, pouring its life and green into it, for this true. And you also, mother of all delight, for this cease, essentia, essential, sound and symphony, for the praising of the most tender woman, for the Mary, be quithered with the soul, you can see the source of God, for the amen. It would never come into the world of all creations. This is the goddess and the understanding the creature has no meaning without the word. This is the word for the creation, the visible, the invisible, for the word is living, for the beginning of spirits. This is being all for the word and creativity, for the word flashes out in every creature. This is how the spirit is. This is the flesh for the world, for the invisible God, for the greeting of the branch, for the glistening of the sunlight, the standing between your nobility and the rising down, for the rejoicing and now and exile. D to the free, for the fools, and we are for the long slavery to the evil. Then hold up your hand and raise up. This is nothing but a stick up for sticking all till you can. For this is the understanding, for we have the tenderness and the lovingness, and find yourself between you, space, time, distance, maybe energy, relativity to everything that when you find the same, the love and tenderness about for all the darkness and the most imminent, beyond the stars for the exquisite, and this is the beneath of the kiss of the peace and upon the ultimate king. You are the song to the creator, the accomplishing word for the father, for the life, for the prima door, for the daybreak, the spheres, you, for the foreknowing, for the kind, mind of the divinity, for the foresaw, for all the works that you will them. Residence for the hidden, this is the heart for your power, power like the will for the round the world, for whose circling never begin to never side to an end. This is that O for the whole, increasing the life, rebuilding the path, confusing death. Wore down to the serpent for the even, raise herself up for the neck. Rigid and infinite for the arrogance, and strode upon the arrogance while bearing God for the Son of Heaven, for this the spirit of God's breath. Gentle and loving memory, hold you for the beyond. Heaven for the releasing to the world for which you brought forth. This one, though for the spirit for the God for the breath, for this is the glory for the Father, for the Son, and the Holy Spirit into this one for the whom that spirit God breathes. Listen to me. This will not be that avenue for the heroes. This is not that antiphony for the spirit light upon that edge. Present the yearning for the burns in the secret darkness of angels. Instable, instantaneously. Now I can find that God grace for the perversity, for that you cannot touch that beauty for the essential joy, for the loss of the companion, for the angel, the crooked wings and sought the summit, for down to death of God, for the plummeting and passing the heaven. It must be a mud for the bound to spirit, the soul.